Welcome to our YouTube video series on pension benefits. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal. And in this particular video, we'll start asking those important questions related to your pension benefits and whether or not you're being underpaid your legal entitlement to a pension. Now, the first thing we have to start off with and ask ourselves is, have you ever questioned your pension benefits? Have you ever tried to investigate and determine whether you're getting paid properly? This means, did your employer and yourself contribute correctly as accordance to the law? And secondly, are you being paid as you should be paid? And what most people are going to say, and it's perfectly justifiable, is that there's too much documentation, it's not available to yourself, and it's far too complicated for them to understand whether or not they're entitled to something more. It looks right, they're getting money, it seems to be professionally done, so that tends to be the end all and be all of the situation. And there really isn't that much more by way of investigation. And that is highly problematic, because you're simply allowing somebody else to dictate how much money you're getting paid, even though there could be clear requirements from contracts and from the law as to how much you should be getting paid. And I know it seems like a challenging question, and you think, well, it's my former employer. They have lots of professionals, both inside the company and outside the company, advising them such that they should be doing things correctly. But is that really going to be the case? Because the fact of the matter is that most employers and even most pension operators are operating under the premise that they have specifications to follow, and they're not going to try to challenge them on their own to determine whether or not they're doing something improper. That's not really what their job is. It's not their job to find out whether or not they're underpaying people. Their job is to structure it so that they seem to be in accordance with what the law says and what industry practices are. And if there are errors, well, somebody has to raise them to them. Otherwise, they're not going to start making adjustments. So you have to be able to identify them and raise them and have a necessity for it. They're not going to adjust things and find out they've been underfunding the pension plan, that they've been underpaying, and then they're simply going to go forward with it. That's a question sometimes as to there's an argument for one side versus an argument for the other side. And they're naturally going to go with the argument that they are correct until somebody challenges them. And if no one challenges them, then they're just going to proceed as they have been proceeding before. And everybody is going to be subsumed into the complexity of the pension plan and all the associated documentation that goes along with it, the contracts, the legislation, the multi-jurisdictional nature of these programs, and the like. And it is not until somebody says personally that they are going to investigate these pension plans, that they're going to take on the responsibility unto themselves and look into it some more. Because it is their legal entitlement to look into it. It is their legal entitlement to make sure that they're getting paid correctly. But until someone does that, but until you do that, you won't know for sure whether or not you're getting the correct pension payments. Now, if you're getting overpaid, well, it's not something that you need to disclose back to your employer, your former employer, should I say. However, that's highly unlikely. More likely than not, if there is an issue, the issue is with respect to underpayments. And that is where your concern lies. And that is where you should be looking into whether or not you are being underpaid. because it can be a serious issue for everyone, but in particular for yourself. And if you've worked so many years and you've retired from the company, put in all that time, put in all that effort, and now you find you are retired and you're relying largely on your pension. And if you're being underpaid 5%, 10%, whatever the percentage might be, that is an issue. And that is a problem that you should be looking to address. And you should be looking to address it with legal counsel so you undertake the steps properly so it doesn't necessarily put you offside too quickly. You get the appropriate materials, you get the appropriate information and input back from the pension plan administrator so you can determine whether or not you have been paid correctly in the past, currently, and going forward. Because at the end of the day, it is your money, it is your entitlement, having contributed to that company and having contributed to that pension plan, that you should be getting paid what you are legally entitled to. And if you feel that you are getting underpaid, or if you just want to make sure that you're not being underpaid, you should engage with a knowledgeable lawyer who is going to work with you and pursue this appropriately without causing major issues at the outset until such time as you clearly discern whether or not there has been an underpayment. And at that time, yes, it can cause an issue, but that is the reality of challenging the system. You don't necessarily need to challenge the system as you begin the investigative process because there is an obligation on the part of the pension plan administrator to facilitate disclosure and transparency as to their obligations. So you should do that investigation. You should work with knowledgeable legal counsel who will keep you protected as you take these initial steps forward, and then advance the process should there be a determination that there has been an underpayment. And that is what you can look to do because you should be getting what you are entitled to with respect to your pension plan. Because remember, you are the beneficiary of the pension plan, and as such, it is your pension plan, and you should get all that you're entitled to and not something less. Thank you.